Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Looks like we have a number of folks coming in. So I'm going to give it just a minute or two as everyone kind of moves in from the waiting room, and we'll get started in just a minute. Thank you. All right. Okay, looks like we got more people coming in. We got a lot of folks joining now, so we'll go ahead and get started just 1 minute after 12. Thank you everyone for joining and welcome to Entryway's State of the Organization. My name is Kristen Poteet. I am our Senior Vice President of External Affairs for Entryway, and I have the pleasure of being the host for today's webinar. So with that comes the pleasure of introducing our President and CEO, David Williams. David's going to go over some results from 2024 and talk a little bit about what's to come for 2025. So David, I will hand it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Kristen. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for taking the time to be on this call. We've had over 250 people register, so welcome. Now, a recording of this presentation is going to be sent to everyone who registered. So if you want to forward it to anybody you think might want to learn more about Entryway, please feel free to do so. As Kristen mentioned, the purpose of our time together will be to provide a brief update on the impact of Entryway in 2024, and then just provide a glimpse of what we hope to accomplish in 2025. We'll leave time for questions at the end, so you can put your questions in the chat box or use the Q&A button, and Kristen will compile all of them up for us, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. So we're going to start this meeting similar to how we start our city advisory board meetings and our national board meeting with a mission moment, and we do this to remind ourselves of the people that we serve and why our mission is so important. So this is Atiana. Atiana is a single mom of two. At the time, she's pregnant with her third child when she's introduced to Entryway. And so you can see what she says here. 1 minute we're okay, we're secure, kids are in school. The next minute I'm having to figure out where we're going to go, what we're going to do for dinner that night. How everything is going to pan out, which is actually very difficult, very scary, especially when you've never been in this situation before and you never thought this could happen to you. So she makes the tough decision to send her two children to their father while she seeks refuge at Maggie's Place, a community for pregnant and parenting women. She joins Entryway's program where she earns a number of certifications and starts preparing for job interviews, and her hard work pays off as she's hired as a leasing agent at a Greystar property where she now lives with her baby boy and her mother, who is also having housing struggles. So Atiana recently returned to Maggie's Place to share her journey with other moms that are in a similar situation. And her cousin, who left a domestic violence relationship, also joined Entryway after hearing Atiana's story. And she now works with an Entryway industry partner and lives in an apartment not that far away from Atiana. So let's just think about the ripple effect of this story. So by helping Atiana rebuild her life, her son has a stable home, her mother has a safe place to live, her cousin has a pathway to economic independence, two industry partners have motivated employees, and Atiana paid it forward by being a mentor and an encourager at Maggie's Place for women in similar situations. One program, one opportunity, one life transformed, and it lifted an entire family and inspired others. And that's what you help accomplish. So thank you. So let's take a look at some of our program data for 2024. After going through our application and screening process, 618 individuals formally enrolled in our program. That was a 16% increase over 2023. And as you can see, we skew 60-40 female to male. We overwhelmingly serve people of color, and 9% of our hired participants last year were veterans. Now, you'll see a metric on here called Life Work Self-Sufficiency Matrix. And this is a key indicator for us in measuring the success of our mission. So this matrix is a national evaluation tool that measures the ability to meet all basic needs of daily living without public assistance, with a scoring range from 1 indicating in crisis up to 5 indicating empowered. And this cuts across areas such as housing, employment, income, food, childcare, healthcare, things like that. And you can see that after only 90 days from placement, our participants move from vulnerable to building capacity. So don't miss this, because this is really our mission in a nutshell. It's about moving people out of crisis and into a place where they're empowered to live their lives, not dependent upon a public assistance or in a shelter to survive. So overall, I'm really proud to report that we had 238 hired participants in 2024. That was an increase of 74% from 2023. We housed 284 individuals, including family members of participants, and that was a 58% increase from 2023. Just enormous increases in 1 year. 66 of those hired were hired into temporary staffing roles, and 19 of those led to permanent placements with Entryway partners. And we've seen that securing temporary assignments has become a great opportunity for many of our applicants who don't have multifamily experience, because these assignments get money in their pockets, they get on-the-job experience, and they get exposure to our industry partners. Last year, we piloted a unique 10-week apprenticeship program with Liberty Staffing with participants in our National Capital Region and Philadelphia regions. And we're really excited to offer this opportunity to all of our markets in 2025. And of course, we're always going to work with the many staffing companies that partner with us that are helpful to our mission. You'll see the average tenure showing at 11.7 months, which is roughly twice the industry average for entry-level positions. And we're going to continue to work towards improving retention. And we believe that one of the key components to that is training. Now, our training opportunities include a mix of online, in-person classroom, and job shadowing. And our own markets conduct many of these trainings, but we also have a number of companies like Chadwell Supply, Grace Hill, the Liberty Group, Sherwin-Williams, and Skillcat, who are great national partners. And on top of that, we're also grateful to the many local apartment associations, local community colleges, local technical schools that we so often partner with. So this year, we saw 531 enrolled participants complete online learning pathways, and 320 participants complete instructor-led classroom trainings. And overall, nearly 6,700 courses were completed in areas like groundskeeping, maintenance, leasing, housekeeping, concierge, fair housing, soft skills, financial literacy, and much, much more. From an industry standpoint, we added 27 new industry partners to the group of property management companies that interview and hire our candidates. In total, we now have 93 industry partners. I also want to recognize a couple sectors outside multifamily who are interviewing and hiring our candidates: the hospitality industry and the manufactured homes industry. We believe there are opportunities to expand in both of these sectors. So if you know executives in either one of these sectors, please let us know. In 2024, total revenue was $2.84 million, and that was $1 million, and that was spread out among individuals, corporations, special events, and grants. Special events and corporate sponsorships continue to be a huge source of revenue and brand awareness. Top golf events alone in 2024 generated over $650,000 for Entryway. Now, last year, we added a new element to our corporate revenue stream, cause marketing. So cause marketing is using a charitable cause, in this case, Entryway, to help market a company in a way that benefits the cause. So in 2024, we had 3 national cause marketing promotions take place. Number one, for every new lease, Funnel Leasing donates $1 to their home program, which last year supported Entryway. One App Guarantee will donate $2,500 for every referral, and South Cross Security will donate $10,000 for every referral to their leak detection services. So you can reach out to me or Kristen directly for more details about these programs. Now, the reason I mentioned this is to, first of all, thank these companies for their support and to encourage you to consider a similar type of promotion potentially with your own company. A company sells their product, Entryway receives a donation, and both brands are enhanced by the promotion. A win-win all the way around. I'd also like to acknowledge our platinum sponsors, Walker & Dunlop, the DRK Foundation, and Lloyd Jones for their support. And in terms of in-kind donations, Middleburg Communities provides amazing back office support, and Court Furniture continues their partnership to donate furniture and houseware items for our hired participants. Again, another amazing partnership. I'd also like to thank our gold and silver sponsors that are seen on the slides for their generous support. We can't do it without them. In addition to these sponsors, we also formed a new partnership with Inhabit, whose product, Screening One, now provides over 800 background checks of our applicants at no cost to us whatsoever. We negotiated a new partnership agreement with Grace Hill that provides all of their training products through their Performance HQ platform at a significantly discounted cost. Grace Hill CEO Kendall Pritzer serves on our Central Texas City Advisory Board as well. So these types of partnerships allow us to do mission critical work by reducing our operating costs. So overall, on a $3 million budget, Entryway's financial impact on the communities we serve last year was over $13 million. Every placement made within the multifamily industry that includes employment and housing results in nearly $98,000 in taxes paid, social services no longer needed, and wages paid that result in groceries purchased, rent paid, and other items purchased. You'll see on average that our participants are receiving a starting wage of $19.60 an hour, 291% increase from where they were when they came into our program. Last year was the first full year of our new name, Entryway, and we've been super pleased by the exposure we've received through TV, radio, articles, newsletters, podcasts, and social media. We're working hard to raise awareness of our work, and many of you have been instrumental in providing marketing opportunities and sharing our mission. So for that, thank you. We're also proud of a new initiative that Freddie Mac Multifamily rolled out that was influenced actually by our work. Employer-enabled permanent supportive housing, that's a name, supports the work of Entryway and our multifamily industry partners by expanding access to financing for properties with hired Entryway participants. Very, very cool. Another project I'm excited about involved the filming of our candidates' journeys through 111 Entertainment. Now, this was a project that was funded by the Wolf Company, Court Furniture, Apartment Association of Greater Dallas, and Grace Hill. And the goal is to produce a pilot that could potentially get picked up by a network or a streaming service, showing the grit and the resiliency of our participants. But at minimum, we have hundreds of hours of footage that we're going to be sure to repurpose and use in all of our social media and websites. But the best case scenario is that we have a new avenue to share the amazing work of this organization and to help change the perceptions, frankly, about those struggling with homelessness, as well as the multifamily industry. Last summer, we were thrilled to launch our 13th market in Central Texas, in Austin. And this past fall, we secured funding for Entryway to launch our 14th market which will be in Columbus, Ohio. So we're in the midst of building that Columbus board and hope to start the search for an executive director in either Q1 or Q2 of 2025. We had 63 leaders join our various city advisory boards across the country. At a national level, we were excited to have Brian Rashadi with Ferguson Supply and Tyrone Poole with One App Guarantee join our national board of directors. Now I'd like to ask Kristen, our Senior Vice President of External Affairs, to recognize the individuals and companies who made some extraordinary contributions in 2024 to further our mission.
Thank you, David. So I get the fun job here. Our first award goes to our National Ambassador of the Year. And this award goes to an individual who embraces and promotes our mission, attends events, refers volunteers and partners, and assists with getting donations and is passionate about our work. So our 2024 Ambassador of the Year is Sharp Gillespie. Sharp is an executive at One App Guarantee and is behind the introductions of numerous industry partners for Entryway throughout the country. He was the brains behind the cause marketing promotion mentioned earlier, and he serves on the Atlanta City Advisory Board. He has helped recruit 4 other One App colleagues to Entryway boards and shares the Entryway message wherever he goes. So thank you, Sharp. Our next award is the National Industry Partner of the Year, which goes to a company that has hired 3 or more participants, provides helpful and constructive feedback on interviews and hirings, is a willing referral to other partners, and embodies the spirit of Entryway's mission. So the 2024 National Industry Partner of the Year goes to Greystar. Greystar accounted for 11% of all of our hires across the country, and Greystar executives now serve on our city advisory boards in Charlotte, Atlanta, Raleigh, Denver, and Austin. Last year, Greystar piloted a shadowing program with Entryway, which resulted in a full-time hire for our very first participant that participated in that program. So thank you very much, Greystar. And our final national award goes to our National Philanthropic Partner of the Year, which this year goes to the DRK Foundation. DRK selected Entryway in 2022 for a 3-year, $300,000 grant that also enabled us access to DRK's substantial portfolio of donors and entrepreneurs. Margot Dracos, the managing director at DRK, has served on our national board for the past 2 years. And it's through DRK's program that the Columbus, Ohio launch was actually made possible. So congratulations and thank you to all of our national award winners. Now, some of our local markets have also chosen to present awards to those who made a significant contribution to their efforts. And each local winner will receive their award from their local executive director. So you can see the winners listed on the following slides. So congratulations to all of our winners. Thank you so much for your support. And I will hand it back over to David.
Great. Thanks, Kristen. Okay, so now I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about goals for 2025. So I'd like to mention 6 of them. Number 1, so first goal is for every market to achieve at least 15 full-time hires within the multifamily industry that'll include discounted housing and employment. Now, some markets will do much more than that, but our expectation is that all markets will hit that 15 number. Second goal is regarding retention. So our goal is for 70% of our individuals hired to reach their 1-year graduation. Number 3, we expect each market to become self-sustaining from a fundraising perspective in 2025. Now, some already are, but again, we're going to look for everybody to attain that status this year. Number 4, we're going to continue to bring on new industry partners. While we're going to do that, we're going to shift our focus just a little bit on strengthening the relationships with the partners that we already have. So in 2024, we had 11 industry partners who hired 3 or more participants. And our goal in 2025 is to see that number double. Our fifth goal is that we're looking to expand our city advisory boards across the country, as well as the national board. Um, you've heard me say this many times. Our board members are our secret sauce. We're part of a $3 trillion industry, but it's also a very small one where relationships matter. And so we hope to continue to see growth in our boards across the country. And then finally, we recently purchased an AI tool that's going to help us interview the thousands of individuals who apply to Entryway to help us determine fit with our program and, of course, with the industry, and to keep our own operating costs to a minimum. So those are just some of the goals. Let me just take a minute to touch on some of the headwinds that we're going to be facing in 2025. So cash flow is going to continue to be an issue this year, as we're kind of backloaded in terms of our revenue, in that most of it occurs not only in Q4 but a lot in the month of December. So we were fortunate in 2024 that a handful of supporters came through with their gifts earlier in the year, and others who provide some zero interest loans to help us get through the dry months of the summer. So we're currently in the process of identifying a line of credit, as well as some individuals who'd be willing to provide low interest capital to Entryway to help us get to Q4. If that's something that you or your company would be willing to consider, please reach out to me. In 2025, one of our new initiatives was that the national office will provide $10,000 for every market to establish a new avenue for raising money in either Q1, Q2, or Q3 of 2025. And we got a great response. And so I'm really excited to see how successful these new ideas will be in this first year. So let me end with some thank yous and also a bit of a call to action. So first of all, if you're a board member, a donor, an industry partner, a mentor, a job coach, or a volunteer, or a combination of those, thank you. None of this happens without you. I'd also like to express and recognize our amazing staff. I've worked with a lot of amazing people over the years, and I just can't tell you how impressed I am with how much this group has been able to accomplish. This is a small but mighty team, and they believe in this mission, and they're driven to make a meaningful difference every day. And I'm really grateful for them. And finally, if you're hearing about Entryway for the first time, I hope you'll take the next step to become involved. It's easy to do, and any of us would love to have that conversation with you. So to summarize, 2024 was an amazing year. Our impact was significantly greater than 2023. The multifamily industry continues to embrace Entryway in numerous ways, from interviewing our candidates to supporting us philanthropically, to sharing their executives as they serve on our various boards. It's pretty impressive. We're going to continue to expand our footprint throughout the country because, as we all know, homelessness is not going away. Last year, we saw an 18% increase in homelessness as determined by HUD's point-in-time survey, and that is just a huge increase. And while the national focus tends to be on those experiencing chronic homelessness, the majority of people dealing with this issue are situational. It's a circumstance. It's not their identity. And that's where we come in, because the need for talent within the multifamily industry isn't going away either. And we have a unique model that assists people and families in ways that are sustainable. But we need you. We need you to identify potential board members. We need more financial donors. We need more industry partners. We need more job coaches, mentors, and referring partners. Just by the virtue of the fact that you are on this call makes you an ambassador of Entryway. We're still a best kept secret. So do your part to share the amazing impact of this program. It's exciting, and I'm looking forward to being on this journey with you. And so I'd like to close with a quote from one of our program graduates. De'Aaron is an Army veteran, and he's now a maintenance tech with CWS. This program works. I'm living proof of it. If you're willing to put in the work, if you're dedicated, if you have the energy, if you have a positive attitude, it works. I now have a career. It's been a life changer. So thank you for doing your part in helping transform lives like the errands. And I think now we have time for questions.
All right. So if you do have any specific questions, you can go ahead and send them directly to us or the chat. I already do have some that were emailed that I'm going to ask, and we also have some coming in. We will do our best to get through all of them. We have about 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. So David, there was a question that came in around expanding into other cities. You mentioned that we're going into Columbus in this year in 2025. So are there any specific cities that you have in mind for Entryway, and how do you kind of make that decision when you're starting in a new market?
Great question. So we always have a lot of conversations in the works with people who live in those communities who like our model, who believe it would work in their city, and so they reach out to us. We do not have after Columbus, we do not have that next city identified, but the elements that need to be there are number one, seed capital funding. So in the case of Columbus, they have raised $400,000 over 2 years to launch Columbus. Now that's the most that we've ever raised to launch a city, and that's super exciting. The second element is that we want to work in partnership with the local apartment association, so we really want their endorsement. And then the third element is around the board, is that we know that having a strong city advisory board is critical, not just to launch, but to have long-term success. And so, as I mentioned, we're building that board now. I believe multifamily is everywhere. The issue of homelessness is everywhere. And so we're open to where we're invited. And so if there are people on this call that would be interested in us coming to their community, we'd love to have that conversation.
Great. There's a question around how a homeless supportive program connects with Entryway. So can you talk a little bit about, I think a little bit maybe about how we work with referring partners in our local markets?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do our work in partnership, not just with the multifamily industry, but also with what we call referring partners. And it's really broken into two areas. One would be social service organizations that are working with this population. Maybe they have a workforce development element to their program. And so Goodwill, Salvation Army, Family Promise, all types of shelters and programs that work with this population. We also work pretty closely with the educational community. And so if you think about community colleges, technical schools, for-profit, nonprofit, but groups that are training people in carpentry, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. So you talk to any instructor of those programs, and they'll tell you they got a couple people that are in their class that are living out of their car or couch surfing with friends. And so we work with those programs to be able to present and talk about Entryway. And so that if they have housing insecurity, we're an option for them. So we have agreements with those referring partners, and they know what our criteria are, so that when somebody comes through their program, they can refer them to us. We also have the ability, though, that if somebody simply wants to apply directly, they can do that online as well.
Yeah, that was actually another question someone had, was the process to apply for Entryway. And so I think I can, that we do have an application online that I can put the link in the chat that has a criteria. There's certain criteria for being in the program, but you can go ahead and apply. And we do have a process with the intake coordinator, as well as our executive directors who look for a good fit for the program. Okay, so the next question that I saw was around a process to volunteer and serve locally.
Yeah, most of our markets have one staff person. We have an executive director. And so we are really dependent upon volunteers. And so again, people can apply either directly locally or go to our website, and there's a process by which you can apply. We have an onboarding process that depending on what you want to do, whether you want to be a job coach or a mentor or help with some fundraising events or there are a lot of options, and you'll go through that, and then we'll get you connected. But volunteers are a key component to our mission.
Okay, great. Let's see, there's a comment around cash flow. Would our cash flow issues be improved if cab members could commit to at least 5K in January and the balance in July, or in January and half in July?
Yes, that would certainly help. We want to be mindful that not everybody can do that. But if it is possible, then that helps us out. This is not that unique among nonprofit organizations. The holidays tend to be a time when people are more generous, or they're just, donations are given for tax purposes, and we all like to, wait until making that gift. But if that can be done earlier, then that would really help out. I think we're trying to take some steps so that we're not as dependent on Q4. So hopefully we're going to work ourselves out of this gradually.
Great. There's a couple questions around personal support. So what is the amount of personal support one of our participants receives, and for how long? So I think once kind of they're in the program, maybe, and then they're hired, what does that support look like?
Yeah, so it's one of the things that uh, we're really excited about. That we typically will assign a mentor to a participant once they're placed. Actually, in some cases, we'll assign a mentor even before placement to help them navigate the training process and the interviewing process. Um, we all need coaching when because interviewing can be nerve-wracking, and so we have a lot of support that happens then. But afterwards, we do have that mentor. One of the things that we're excited about with the new arrangement with Grace Hill is that we're going to be able to continue to keep people on with their online learning. In the past, once they were placed, then we would use our online learning for other applicants. Well, now people can continue to learn, and I think, as all of us on this call know, continuing education is how you progress in your career. And so, if individuals are able to get additional certifications and continue to grow while they're on the job, that's going to bode well for everybody, their employer and themselves. And so we're really excited about that.
Um, this question is a little bit around, there was a 74% increase for hired program participants versus 2023. What do you think was kind of the driving factors for such a large increase?
Yeah. I love answering a question like this because because I think there are a number of reasons for it. So number one, I mentioned earlier about the increase in industry partners. That was on top of a big increase in industry partners the previous year. So clearly, the more industry partners we have, the more available open positions there are, and I think that was certainly a factor. I think on the flip side, we saw a big increase in applicants, and so that pipeline is just as important. You can have all the open positions in the world, but if you don't have a pipeline, then you're not going to be able to do anything about it. I think the third is I mentioned the work with staffing agencies. I think that was a huge uh, um, change for our program that so many people are able to get those temporary positions, and that is an important step. And then I think the fact that we were able to place people even outside the industry, which again, our focus is going to remain on multifamily. But if we can get people placed in jobs outside the industry, then that's great too. So I think there were a number of factors. I think we got better at training as well. So I think there are a lot of areas that really impacted those numbers.
Let's see, this last question says, do you work with individuals who are justice impacted?
Can you say that one more time?
Do you work with individuals who are justice impacted? So,
We do. We do. The industry is, and rightfully so, is very risk averse certainly when it comes to certain um, activities that have occurred in the past. And so there's kind of a bright red line when it comes to areas around thefts and uh, assaults and things like that. But I'll tell you what, one of the things I've been super proud of some of our partners and our own staff and our participants have been the number of people that have been able to uh, get jobs and housing in the industry, and where I think the industry has been willing to maybe make a decision that they wouldn't have made in the past, and that it's worked out really well. And so I'm kind of hoping that we'll see more of that in the future.
next question. It sounds like you have a number of partner types in communities. For example, multifamily partners, organizations that source situationally homeless individuals, workforce development training. Can you share more about the various relationships you have in communities?
Um, yeah, I think we have certain national partnerships. I mentioned um, Goodwill, Salvation Army, Family Promise. These are organizations that are national in nature, and we try to facilitate those as we open in a new market, because we know we work with Goodwill in various cities across the country. When we go into a new market, we know that's an organization that we're going to want to at least reach out to, even though they all might be a little bit different. It's still a good first step. But the majority of organizations that we work with are really local organizations, and so I think that's part of the work of that executive director, and frankly of that city advisory board, because a lot of times those board members they sit on other boards, and so that's where we're constantly looking to see who are people that we can partner with and complement what they do, because whether it's a shelter or any kind of addiction type of program, after they do what they do, they are wanting their participants to be able to move on, to become self-sufficient, to have their own housing, to be fully employed, and that's what we do. And so ideally, we are complementing uh, the great work that these organizations are doing. And again, the vast majority of them are local nonprofits that just do amazing, very difficult, uh, but hard work.
The next question is, what is the average tenure of Entryway participant hires compared to typical multifamily industry employees in similar roles?
Yeah, so what we see with these entry level positions, again, groundskeeping, maintenance, leasing, housekeeping, industry average is right around 6 months, and as of last year, our was 11.7 months, so almost 12. So almost twice the industry average. And again, our hope is that we want to be able to increase that. You know, a lot of times people look at what we do and that we're working with a homeless population, and they see that as a risk, a higher risk. And I believe it's actually a lower risk because we actually have a team of people that are committed to that person's success, as opposed to, you use ZipRecruiter or wherever, and somebody offers 25 cents an hour more across the street, and they're gone. Whereas it is not lost on these individuals the tremendous opportunity they're being given, with full-time employment, with the housing, with the furniture through Core Furniture, with the mentoring. And I actually think it's a lower risk. But that's something that we have to prove. And I believe we are proving it. But as we go along, I think that will become more self-evident.
There's a couple questions kind of putting them together around kind of the discounted rent, or how affordable is it for a participant to live in one of the communities? Kind of how does it work for them to live where they work with our partners? So maybe just talking a little bit about how that works with our partners.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most awesome parts of our program is that people get to live where they work. All of us know about commutes, and if you're living in a shelter, you may or may not have your own vehicle. A lot of times you don't. So you rely on public transportation. Some cities have great public transportation, some don't. And so being able to work where you live is not only really good for that individual at that particular time, but it's also something that's desirable for the industry. Um, so you think about a maintenance person being on site, and there's a water leak or a break in power or anything like that. To have somebody that's right there versus 45 minutes across town, it's a huge plus in terms of the resident experience. So that's a really important element of the program. The fact that those discounts can be anywhere from 20 to 70%, depending on the class of the property and all, it's another element of helping our applicant become self-sustaining. And again, that's the ultimate goal. We want that to be able to happen. Sometimes that discount goes away after a year. We're also seeing more and more where that discount will just stay because the industry sees the benefit of having somebody on site.
Okay, great. Well, we only have a couple more minutes. Let's try to create the last one I saw. Um, this one was very specific around if Nashville has any plans to expand to Clarksville, Tennessee. I don't know that we have any plans for that. David, do we?
Here's what I would say. I think one of the things that I didn't talk about, but that we have seen in over this past year is, as I've talked about expanding to new markets, we've also seen expansion within markets. And so in Atlanta, we had a couple placements in Macon. In Phoenix, we've now expanded to Flagstaff and Tucson. In Central Florida, we've expanded from Orlando to Tampa. And the other part is that we're also seeing where we're able to make placements in parts of the country, and people have been successful where, we just placed somebody in Utah. I mean, we place somebody in rural Virginia, we place somebody in Alabama. And again, if we're able to provide that, the mentoring, which so often is done virtually, then we're pretty excited about that. We still believe at the end of the day, you want to have boots on the ground as much as possible. But I think this is something that's pretty exciting that we're able to expand within a market and then even expand into areas where we don't have a physical presence.
Great. And I do see Chris Smith, who's our executive director in Nashville, commented that we do work in Clarksville. So that's great. We already do. So the person that asked that, that is good news for you. We are at time. It's 12:45. So I think we just need to wrap it up. And if we didn't
Yes.
get to your question, we can certainly email you directly and follow up.
Yes. So let me just say thank you to all of you that have been with us. If we didn't get to your question, we will. And thank you for your participation. And we'll look forward to doing this again next year. So thank you, everyone.